Now, let's start on a pretty serious note with Antonio Brown. It's the only way we can start the show. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I'm following the game, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're going to get upset by the Jets. And at the time, the Cowboys hadn't played the Cardinals yet. And I'm thinking, oh, we may not even need a tiebreaker to surpass Tampa. And I'll get into Dallas later in the show. But the point is, Tampa Bay made a huge comeback against the Jets. Maybe it says a lot about them that they needed a comeback to beat the Jets, but Brady threw the game-winning touchdown with 15 seconds left, and that's all good and fun. But, of course, the biggest story, not just in this game, but in the entire National Football League, was that Antonio Brown did something that I don't think I've ever seen a player do in any game that I've ever watched, ever. So I'll go and play the video right here for you. For the YouTube and Facebook and Twitter audience, I'll kind of narrate it. So you see Antonio Brown, he's starting to take his jersey off, and Mike Evans is trying to calm him down. It's not working. AB takes it off, and Mike Evans is like, okay, I'm not even going to try. And so you see the fan. This is from the fan's perspective at MetLife Stadium. AB throws his jersey, and you see him start to walk off. He looks back at the Bucs sideline. Now he's starting to take his gloves off and things of that nature. He takes his undershirt off and tosses it in the crowd. Tosses one glove, tosses another glove, and there he goes. Now, at this point, he's walking onto the field. This is right before a play is about to occur. He's walking. Now he's in the Jets' end zone. He's walking. Now he's getting excited. He's hyping up the fans, I guess, throwing up deuces, saying goodbye to the Jets fans and the Bucs fans that are sitting there. And he runs off into the tunnel. And that's the last we will probably ever see of Antonio Brown in the National Football League. I get he's gotten opportunity after opportunity, but that was it. Like, we're not going to see Antonio Brown ever suit up for an NFL game again. At least I don't believe. But needless to say, Bruce Arians, pretty much cut him in front of the media, although Adam Schefter reported today that they have not officially cut him. They're kind of deciding like what to do as far as how to handle getting him out of the building, but he's not going to be a Buccaneer. So here's what Bruce Arians said, and followed by what Tom Brady said afterwards.
But I have to start with, can you tell us what happened to Antonio Brown? Did he quit? I've never seen a guy leave a field like that, and is this the last strike for him?
He is no longer a Buck. All right, that's the end of the story. Let's talk about the guys that went out there and won the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a difficult situation, and I think we all want him to just think everybody should find hopefully do what they can to help him in ways that he really needs it. And we all love him, we care about him deeply. We want to see him be at his best, and unfortunately it won't be with our team, but we have a lot of friendships that will last. And again, I think the most important thing about football are the relationships with your friends and your teammates, and they go beyond the field. And I think everyone should be very compassionate and empathetic toward some very difficult things that are happening.
So I'm watching this occur, and they're showing the on the replay on Fox, because this happened like right at the tail end of a commercial break. And I'm watching it as it's occurring again. They're showing the replay, and I'm thinking, I'm thinking in the back of my head, it's AB. I've seen him do this, not this specifically, but we've seen what he's done off the field, on the field, in the locker room. It's always something with AB. And so I'm watching, and then once I kind of sit back and think about it, and again, once I saw what Tom Brady said, I kind of thought about it, and it just kind of made me sad. And not necessarily, and empathetic, not necessarily, it's weird to say, but not necessarily towards Antonio Brown, the individual that he's been off the field, but the part of Antonio Brown, you're like, he literally destroyed his own career. He destroyed his own career. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Bruce Arians specifically said, this is a one strike and you're out policy. Well, there was quite a few strikes just this year. And throughout Antonio Brown's career, we saw it started back in December of 2018. He was late to meetings. He was late to practice. And Mike Tomlin just straight up said, you're not playing on Sunday. And it was, at the time, it was a huge game for Pittsburgh, a do or die game. And Mike Tomlin said, no, you're not doing this. And so the Steelers trade him to the Raiders. He gets a boatload of money. And he has the frostbite foot issue. Then he has the helmet grievance issue. And then he's calling Mike Mayock stuff. And he's calling John Gruden. And he's asking to be released on social media. And then he does get released on social media. And he actually cost himself $20 million because he didn't make it to the start of the season before training camp. He gets signed by the Patriots. Then Bob Kraft finds out what happened between he and a woman who he allegedly assaulted, and Robert Kraft is horrified at this, so he releases AB after one game, and Antonio Brown suspended the first 8 games of this year. We have the allegations, of course, of the sexual assault. You got he assaulted a truck driver. You have the throwing furniture out of his house. Then he goes to Tampa, and he wins the Super Bowl with Tom Brady last year. Then this year he's got the fake vaccination card, and it's something every single week with this guy. And so I think Antonio Brown's NFL career is over. And frankly, as far as his career, not his life, his NFL career is concerned, I don't care. Because my thing is, football is secondary right now. It's secondary. He needs help. Now, I'm not going to be out here being the Monday morning therapist, because I'm not a doctor. Unless you, the viewer, you, the listener, is a doctor. I don't know if any of us are qualified to talk about, give him a diagnosis or something like that. That's not our job, right? But it's clear he needs help. Because as Ryan Clark pointed out on ESPN earlier today, and I saw his reaction, a former teammate of Antonio Brown's in Pittsburgh, he said Antonio Brown's had plenty of issues. Those have been well documented, but they never seeped onto the football field or onto the sideline as far as it destroying the team. Well, yesterday it did. It was the first time that it did. And at the end of the day, Antonio Brown, with an opportunity to win a second ring with Tom Brady, in which in this role, he's more of as I talked about this weeks ago after Chris Godwin got hurt and is out for the season, he's a necessity now, or was at least. Like Tom Brady needed Antonio Brown this year. He didn't necessarily need him last year. He just thought he could contribute to what would end up being a Super Bowl winning team. And in the end, he actually ended up catching a pass before the end of the first half in the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. And now this year with all the injuries, they needed AB. And he ditched him. And he ditched Tom Brady in particular. This is the same Tom Brady that when he signed with the New England Patriots, talking about Antonio Brown, Tom Brady let AB live in his house with his family. Went to bat for him in New England, in Tampa. And AB couldn't handle that, or at least didn't realize that. And so it's like we kind of see with disastrous, sort of circumstances where a person is just trouble and there's chaos day in and day out. We kind of say, are we surprised that it ended this way? No, we're not. If you told me Antonio Brown's career ended this way, I would not be shocked at all. And so at the end of the day, what it comes down to is he destroyed his own career and he needs to get help ASAP. And Tom Brady really hinted at that. That's why Tom Brady, who knows AB better than all of us do, mentioned the word compassionate. Because Tom Brady knows Antonio Brown. And he knows that something is wrong. So it's different than Josh Gordon. We kind of talk about, like with Josh Gordon year in and year out, it's kind of the same cycle, right? He gets signed by a team and like at midseason, and then he has more drug problems and he leaves the team or he gets released by the team. And then same cycle the year after, he signs with a different one and it just repeats itself. And, knock on wood, he hasn't had any problems right now with the Kansas City Chiefs. God bless him. But Josh Gordon, it's different than Antonio Brown because we know how addiction works, guys. It's horrible, right? When someone's got an addiction, you're heartbroken for them because it's so hard to break out of and so hard to defeat and beat. And so with Josh Gordon, it's like, man, we feel sorry for the guy. With Antonio Brown, it's hard to feel sorry for him. And anybody who's watched this show for any significant period of time, very passionate about mental health, very passionate. Talked about Simone Biles and Naomi Osaka in my New Year's Eve special last Friday. Very passionate about it. But in this case, and again, there's clearly something up with AB, but it's hard. It is hard for me to feel sorry for him because of the incident after incident after incident, assault, and faking vaccination cards, which, by the way, is punishable up to 5 years in prison in the United States. So that's a criminal offense. I mean, it's just drama, something after another. And so at the end of the day, it's like I got a mixed emotion. Like, it's hard to feel sorry for AB, but in the same breath, I can't help but still feel sorry for him in the sense that he destroyed his own career. And then maybe it's something he can't control. I don't know. But I do know that this is damaging to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't know if it damages them psychologically. It didn't yesterday because maybe it actually ignited the fire in the Buccaneers, who came out flat as your childhood bike's tire. They come out flat against a bad Jets team, and after the whole AB outburst, they completely turn it on, and they end up winning the game 28-24. So for that game, at least, we'll see. But in the playoffs, we all know Chris Godwin's out for the year. Leonard Fournette's still on IR. And now Antonio Brown is gone. So for Tampa Bay, I'm curious to see where they go from here. They'll win this coming Sunday against Carolina. They'll probably end up being the 3 seed behind the Rams and behind the Packers, who just clinched the 1 seed last night. But man, if Tom Brady pulls this off, holy cow. Probably will be his most difficult championship since the 28-3 comeback on Atlanta. With all the drama this year, with this new situation with AB, I've never really seen anything like it before. And the fact, by the way, that people were comparing Odell to AB, saying, "Oh my, these two are such locker room cancers and problems." I'm like, you're putting Odell with this guy? Odell's listen, he's had his issues, but he's never, to my knowledge, had any issues with the law or with teammates. Nobody's ever called him a locker room cancer. His Giants teammates loved him. His Browns teammates loved him. Like him a little more than Baker. And then his Rams teammates love him. And you see the impact he's made in Los Angeles. Didn't cause a peep in Cleveland. Hasn't caused a peep in Los Angeles. And people putting Odell with that guy? That one just baffled me. I mean, really. I was like, wow. That shows you where people's heads are. I mean, my goodness. Even T.O., you would consider a locker room cancer. They did a Football Life on T.O., and they asked to interview all the quarterbacks that he played with, and only one accepted the invite, and that was Steve Young. Every other quarterback, from Garcia to Donovan McNabb to Tony Romo, were like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't really want to talk about T.O. T.O. wasn't nothing like this. Nothing. So, man, I'm still trying to kind of process how that happened. Again, I'm not surprised because of the player that did it. But in the same breath, it's kind of unbelievable to see how his career ended. After 3 years ago, just 3 years ago, most of us considered him the best receiver in football. I mean, if he continued to play and not gotten in his own way, he wouldn't have broke him. But he was going to threaten some of Jerry Rice's records as a wide receiver. He was going to threaten Jerry Rice. Wasn't going to pass him. Was going to threaten him, though. And 3 years later, we're not even sure if Antonio Brown's going to go to the Hall of Fame. I mean, we know baseball, with their Hall of Fame, we see with Kurt Schilling acting a fool. But we see baseball takes the character thing into consideration more than the NFL does. But I think Antonio Brown may set a precedent where he'll be eligible in 5 years, and the Hall of Fame will be like, we want to honor this guy. I mean, he was a great player. We know that, but he's a bad guy. Just a bad guy. So listen, I hope Antonio Brown gets the help that he needs so desperately. But I've never seen anything like that before. But in the same breath, I can't say I'm horribly shocked. So we'll see where Tampa goes from here, and far more importantly, we'll see where Antonio Brown goes from here. I think his NFL career is over. And I hope that he gets the help that he needs to get himself, back where he needs to be.